Hi everyone, this is JP Tong. How are you? And welcome to today's session of Detox Your Mind. I hope everyone had a good week, uh, and also that you have thought about what I have shared with you last weekend with regards to the how we perceive our reality ahead of us. All right, so today I'm going to be talking about experience. I'll be talking about experience and how it is very important that we understand how our experiences in life affect our reality and affect how we perceive our reality, and again, how that would actually determine the choices that we make on an everyday basis. All right, so let me see. Okay, so experience. Experience is a very big word because we're constantly experiencing. Okay, we're constantly experiencing, and when we experience a situation or a person, we will always remember it. We will always remember it. A lot of times we think we forget, but actually, if we calm our mind and if we do it, by doing a little bit of mindfulness meditation, actually it will help us improve our memory, and we will recall. Okay, so if you have joined my mindfulness meditation session, you would I have explained how you can actually do that when we calm our mind. So moving along, so experience and perception, there is this vicious cycle that's going back and forth, back and forth. So experiences such as when we were growing up. Now I like to always use examples of of how we grew up, because how we grew up in most instances actually provide a foundation of what our reality is, of what our is. Why I call it the foundation of what our reality is because when we grow up in a certain environment or a certain culture, that is our world, that is our comfort zone, that is our reality. There are many different terminologies that we can use. I like to use either that's our reality or comfort zone. So that's what we are used to. Whether we realize it or not, it plays our childhood experiences actually uh, make us who we are, a big part of it, unless we went through certain mindfulness training whereby we are aware of what of the situations or of the environment in which we were brought up in, and we can make changes. But you see, most of the time we do not spend we don't really spend the time or invest in the time to actually notice it, and then make a conscious choice of whether or not that is a reality that we want to continue. All right, so let me quote some examples. Let me see. So, for example, let's speak for myself. So, when I was young, I'm the second child of the family, and as a second child of the family, I remember when I was very, very young, because I was the baby of the family. I was the youngest. So whatever I wanted as a baby, my mom would give it to me. Otherwise, I'd be crying and crying and crying. And even up till now, she would remind me, like, oh goodness, when it's like I can never take you out to departmental stores, because otherwise, when you see a toy that you want and I don't buy it for you, be crying and crying and crying and crying like for like many blocks. and um, and that, but in the end, my mom would make it up like by buying me a drink or a meal and all that. Now, you see that was my reality, whereby whatever that I wanted, my mom would not buy it for me. Okay, most of the time, because she felt that she did not want to spoil me. She didn't want to spoil me for reasons, because when she was, well, because her family were not very well to do. Yeah, they were not very well to do, and she wanted to instill in me that in life we can't have everything that we want. So she made sure that she didn't want to spoil me in that sense. So ever since I was a child, I always remember that whatever that I always want, I would most likely not get. Now that was the reality that I grew up with. So that's my experience. That's my experience. So, and I would sulk and I'll make a lot of noise and that's how I reacted. So fast forward to now, at the back of my mind, when I want something, I won't think, I'll just get it. So if I do not catch myself sometimes, because of that longing that I always tell myself, I will get it if I want it. You see, so that is an experience, and I bring it forward. And sometimes I'll buy things that later on I will regret. So with mindfulness training, I'm able to be aware, be mindful of that spontaneous urge of wanting something without thinking, wait a minute, do I really need it? Or is it to fulfill a certain experience in my childhood? Okay, so, and hence that spontaneous buying. Okay, so now that I'm more mindful, then I will think twice. See, so I can make a choice, but I need to realize why is it that I behave in this situation. So experience is such. So because I experience that situation or that circumstance, so my perception is such that every time when I perceive something that I desire, my experience would tell me, go get it. Because why? Go get it before you regret it. Because you are tired of always, longing to have something that mom would refuse to buy. Not that she couldn't afford it, but it's just that she did not want to spoil me. So that is my experience. You see how that actually affects me. Okay? And and to think about and to think of it, it also, see, when I was young, when my mom didn't get it for me, I just felt that, oh, maybe I always had this feeling that, well, maybe she didn't, she doesn't really love me. Maybe, like maybe I'm an adopted child. You know how when you're a kid, you always think, and people say, oh, you must be adopted. Um, that's why your mom doesn't buy you things like that. So, buy you toys. So at the back of my mind, that longing to, or that equation that if you get me something that I like, so then then it means that you accept me, you love me, and so on and so forth. So subconsciously, that is a conversation that I have. So when I perceive that if somebody doesn't give me what I want, does not give me what I want, then subconscious like, well, I guess the person really doesn't care for me. So I would jump to conclusion very fast because my past experience told me so, or made me believe so, Okay, so whether it is true or not, that's not the point. The point is how experience and perception will, how they come into play with each other. And it is a vicious cycle. Okay, I can quote more, like another experience, and that is, how nowadays, well, I realize this. I realize that the newer generation, or people, whom I interview or whom I work with, I noticed that the resilience level is much less. It's much less than people of my generation, or even older, even my parents' generation. And I realize it's because during the baby boom era, which is where I'm at the tail end of the baby boom. So for us, when we, and because my generation actually, we were working, we had a little bit of a balanced lifestyle, and because a lot of people who work, and I notice this with my friends, when they go back, they feel guilty, and when they feel guilty, they would give in to whatever it is that their children want. All right. So what I'm trying to say is this. So when we grow up, and when and as a child, you're always given what you want, for example. Okay, because it is out of the parents' love to make up for whatever it is that they think they're making up for, or to them, or to parents, it is an act of love. Okay, whatever the conversation is. Um, so the child grows up getting what they want. And when they don't get what they want, they end up throwing a tantrum. Yeah, there's a mosquito flying around here. They grow up throwing a tantrum and make a huge fuss, and then the parent gives in. So when they grow up in that environment, that is what they experience. That's what they experience. Okay, so because they experience such, and they're used to throwing tantrums, crying, making a big fuss, and then they get what they want. Then later on in life, as they grow up as adults, they don't realize that you can't do this when you're an adult. You cannot do this when you're an adult. Now, how many of us have actually experienced certain people whereby if they don't get what they want, they give you a black face, very angersome, they say nasty things, or like at work, if they're not happy with you because you give them so much work and that's not what they want. It's all about me, 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 and what I want. Then if I don't get what I want, I'm just going to walk away, throw a tantrum, give you a black face, and that's it. Okay, and I'm out of here. So see, that is experience, because why? A lot of times we live the now based on our past experiences, And if we are not mindful, we will fall into that trap. And what is a trap? The trap is every time when we perceive, or I'm sorry, every time when we perceive a similar situation where we don't get what we want, then we will walk away, quit, throw a tantrum, get really angry, very irritated, and just be like a child and not deal with it. And it goes back and forth, back and forth. So then, because why? Because the perception is such, so the experience in when they were a child told them that all you have to do is just show a tantrum, show a black face, be dramatic, and you get what you want. Now, as an adult, we really cannot do that. We cannot do that. So who loses out? If we continue to operate like that, we lose out. And this is something to realize. And I'm just quoting you. I'm giving you examples of such, but it can be many, many things. It can be growing up in an environment whereby whereby somebody in your life, an adult, always tells you, you're not good enough, you're not good looking enough, you're not smart enough, or you're too fat, you're too skinny. It's always whatever it is that you're not enough of. Okay, and that actually grows into that psychology of us. And what is that? So the experience is that people tell us that we're not good enough. So when we grow up, so we believe that we are actually inadequate, inadequate. And if and as such, we go through life feeling, having a low self-esteem, very little confidence. Okay? And how do we react when somebody challenges us at work or in our personal life that make us feel that, that we are inadequate? Either you show a black face, you scream and yell at them, or you just walk away. Because why? Because the perception of this person saying a certain thing, saying a certain thing to you, reminds you of that experience that you had when you were younger. So instead of realizing that now that we are an adult, we can handle it, we can face it, and we can work on it. So when we think back into our mind, we ask ourselves, why is it that sometimes certain things, when certain people say certain things, it triggers something in me, and I just can't help it but to react in this negative way. And this is what we need to think about, so that we do not get trapped into this vicious cycle. And then you tell people, that's just me. So don't tell me I'm not good enough. Don't make me feel small. Don't even insinuate. Don't even get near it. So people have no choice but to tiptoe around you. Tiptoe. So, and the question may be, oh, but what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Well, we have to ask ourselves. So we have to ask ourselves, honestly, are we really living our life to the fullest potential? Or are we just caught up in this vicious cycle and just not evolving and not growing from it? And are we really happy with this vicious cycle? Or do we have to come up with different ways to make up for whatever it is that we believe we are, because we were told such? Because our experiences are so similar, our current experiences are so similar to those of the past, and we just keep repeating that cycle, although we are much older now. So these are questions we ask ourselves. Is it beneficial? All right. Do we have any questions so far? Do we have any questions? So that is why it is very important. See, when we want to detox our mind, realize how the mind works. As I said last weekend, our mind always grasps on or holds on to what we go through in life. Okay? How we react to external factors, such as situations and people. The mind has a very strong tendency of grasping, holding on to what we perceive and what we experience. And then from there, it will go on an automatic mode. So anytime when something is similar, it will trigger this auto mode, and then you are in an auto mode of reacting again and again and again. And when we realize that that's how the mind works, that's why we say, okay, take a step back, take a step back, and watch. Watch what? Watch your mind. Watch the mind and understand where that is coming from. Where is that experience coming from? Where is it coming from? And then from there, we realize that's where we track back. And that is why, for those, I mean, since last weekend, we've been getting inquiries asking to join the workshop after this talk. And I recommended specifically that if you do not have a good grasp of mindful meditation or any form of meditation where be it a single pointed meditation or any, a meditation that requires you to still the mind and control it. When we do not have a good grasp of that, then it's very difficult to join the workshop after this. Because why? Because we will have to take a step back and look at it as though we are watching a movie. And there will be a struggle. Okay, so I hope you don't misunderstand that I'm trying to exclude you, although you would like to join. But if you do like to join, then what I would recommend you to do is to watch the Mindful Morning Meditation, which I did 100 episodes last year until beginning of this year. And that will give you a good foundation on how you can control the mind and how you can increase your mindfulness. And it's very, very easy, step by step, and you can do it anytime, any day. All right, so do we have any questions? Okay, great. So that was pretty easy, right? So the experience. So can you think of any other experiences in your life that matches what I said? How when you were a child, the experiences that you had when you were a child, how that actually mold you to where you are right now. Okay? And like for example, that just popped from my head is we're very sensitive. Some of us are very sensitive, very, very sensitive. You can't say things to me that is negative, although you say it's constructive. Any kind of feedback. Um, some people are like that. So we call them very thin-skinned. And why is that? So again, we need to look into our mind and see where that that similar experience came from. Where did that similar experience came from? Is it because during school the teacher used to scold you to say that, to perhaps say that your grades are not good enough, and you need to work harder, or you're not smart enough, you were put down by your teacher or by your friends in school, and that really affected you very much, and that becomes, like a wound, an emotional wound that never healed, and that experience stays. So every time when you perceive a similar situation where people give you, feedback, which is not a personal attack, it's just constructive feedback, for be it for work, for your relationships, somehow you just cannot take it. And you don't know why, and you cannot help it. So again, it's because of a similar experience when you were a child. So how do we get out of that? Well, that's where the workshop is going to be for. Okay, so if you have any similar experience that you would like to share, by all means, please write it in the comment section. Okay, yeah. So now that you know, that's where we will meditate afterwards, and when we calm our mind, I will bring you to when you were a child, or maybe a certain experience that you would like to work on, and perhaps address that experience and see how you can free yourself from that experience. Yeah, free yourself from the experience so that you can actually live in the now and be present and to experience the now and to really and to perceive the now, because now the now is different from the past. The now is different from the past. That's so when we let go of the past experiences and we get to perceive the now as it is, our options, our reality is no longer confined by our past experiences. So it opens up many, many opportunities, and it opens up many, many doors for us. And then you realize, hey, there are actually so many more options ahead of me. And for some, you can say, oh, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I finally see the light. I finally see the light. So, see, it is very, very beneficial when we realize how perception and how experiences play, how they play how they play into each other, and we're just caught up in this vicious cycle. And that is why a lot of times, many spiritual teachers or self-help teachers, they always say, experience, be in the now, focus in the now, the power of the now, right? So that is what it actually means, that power of the now, and letting go, cutting the chains of the past that's dragging us down, okay, be it happy experiences or unhappy experiences. All these experiences, um, if we're not careful, will drag us down. Another one that I just thought of. You know how some people go from one relationship to another, to another, to another, to another, and they say, "Oh, I can't help it. I just fall out of love after a few years," and they just keep going on from one relationship to another because they keep saying that, I've fallen out of love, and what's wrong with me, or I've not found my true love. Well, see, there are certain type of people who quote unquote fall out of love because the experience of falling in love, the heart palpitation, you do everything for the person, you just look at the good side. And once that honeymoon period is over and you no longer experience that heart palpitation, you get excited, then in your mind, you perceive it as, oh, I've fallen out of love. So what happens? You get caught in this vicious cycle again. So because you no longer experience what you want, which is the falling in love um, emotions, the falling of emotions. So you equate that to, well, I don't like you anymore. I'm sorry. And that is why certain people chase after that experience from one to another, to another, to another, to another. And they don't even know it. And they just say, I've just fallen out of love. I guess this person is not the one for me. See, when we understand that psychology, when we understand our mind in that respect, then we have a different perception of what being in a relationship with somebody else is all about. It is a whole new world. It is a whole new world. Yeah, so I'm sure for those of you who have been in a relationship for decades, you will be able to share that it takes a lot of work. In any relationship, it takes a lot of work, be it your friend, your family, right? Your parents, your siblings, your boss. All relationships take a lot of effort. It will not be so effortless that you would just jump to help that person at the drop of a pin. See, that's a process that that we go through when we fall in love. So when we realize that, actually, loving a person is not about that. It's not about it's not about the butterflies and the palpitation, all that. It's not about that. It's actually something else. Then your entire world begins to change, begins to change. So hence the importance of realizing our experience and how it interplays with perception. Okay, I hope that makes sense. My time is up. So thank you very much for joining me this weekend. Do join me next Saturday, same time. All right. And for those of you who are joining me in the workshop, I'll see you at 9:45. Take care. Bye bye.